What if I told you there was an SEC school that played Georgia within one touchdown? Yes, the number one Georgia Bulldogs. And then at the end of the season, they lost while they were a 25-point favorite and paid the team $1.8 million to play them. That team would be the Auburn Tigers. That is the team that we're taking over today. I think this is a school with a bright future. This is a school that hired Hugh Freeze, who leave it off the field. I know there's stuff a lot of people are not going to like about him. That's understandable. It's totally fine. But what can the man do? He can coach football and offensively coach football. That's what he can do. You saw what he did with Malik Willis at Liberty. You saw what he did back in the day when he was with Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze can coach football on offense. He's one of the few people to go into Tuscaloosa and win a football game. He's a solid head coach. So I think what he really needs is time. This is his first season with Auburn. They have the potential to upset Alabama this coming weekend. Today's Monday as I record this. So there is potential that this season could be, capitalized on a little bit, but there's a lot of work they need to do. And I'm going to insert myself as Hugh Freeze now, and we're going to get to work. When you're rebuilding a school, it all starts off with the schedule. So here is the schedule for year one. We're going to be playing FCS West, Arkansas State, Mississippi State, LSU, which is a rival game, Ole Miss, FCS East, going to Texas A&M, Florida Atlantic, Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, and finishing out with the Iron Bowl against Alabama. If you do not know how these videos go, allow me to explain a little bit since I'm newer to the NCAA scene on YouTube. We do not play any of these games until conference championship or playoff, which we're going to make a playoff because it's going to be a 12 team. And the video does not end until we win a national championship with this team being the Auburn Tigers. So if you like the sound of any of that and you think, hey, I have a good idea for a video, comment it down below. Consider subscribing to the channel. Stick around, see if I do that team. Because we're going to be doing a lot of these rebuilds. Auburn is just going to be one of the first few that I'm going to do because it's a prime opportunity to get you guys to watch the video since they lost to New Mexico and they're kind of a hot topic right now, or New Mexico State. That's how irrelevant the team was. I don't even know. I don't know if it was New Mexico or New Mexico State. That's how bad the team was. I would also be foolish to not give you an outlook of this team. We're going to be going with Robbie Ashford as our quarterback of the future. Peyton Thorne has more of a past than a future. Robbie Ashford, we at least get 2 more years with him, whereas, 3 more years with him. Peyton Thorne, we only get 2. And then in the backfield, we've got Jarquez Hunter. We've got Brian Beatty. We're going to be going with Jarquez Hunter as the starter, mainly because that's how it's set up, but also in real life, Jarquez Hunter is 5'10", 210. He's a bruiser. Brian Beatty is not. Moving into the receiver room, we've got Shane Hooks. We got Jair Shorter. We're going to be recruiting at the receiver position. If you've noticed a trend here, a lot of seniors. We've got guys like Caleb Burton, who is a freshman, but a lot of seniors. Same with the tight end position. A lot of upperclassmen. So we're going to be recruiting at that position pretty heavily. Offensive line, a lot of older guys on the offensive line as well. We do have a freshman to look forward to in Connor Liu at center. At right guard, both seniors. Right tackle, we do have a succession plan to Gunnar Britton, but it's going to come down to a lot of recruiting and a lot of development when it comes to this. Deron Reed, he's one of the better freshmen in the country. So, better potential freshman. So he'll probably be the succession plan there. So we've got a lot of things to look forward to when it comes to recruiting for this team. Outside linebackers in general, we need linebackers in the building badly. Secondary, we need guys in the secondary. We do have a few underclassmen, but our 2 top guys are both going to be seniors. Safety, senior, strong safety, senior. It's a lot of older guys, so we're going to have to hit recruiting really hard. Coming into week 6, we have our biggest visit week yet, where we've got guys like Mark Yates, Matt Brunner, Stephen Phillips, just some of the top end players in the entire country. And this visit week is going to be scheduled against Ole Miss. We're 4-0, number 20 in the country. We need a big W right here, and we're going to get it 14-7 over Ole Miss. We're starting out this season 5-0. Maybe it just needed a little magic touch behind the Auburn coaching staff in me, I guess. I don't know. Because starting out 5-0, that's pretty impressive for year one for Hugh Freeze. So I imagine we're going to be able to swing a lot of those guys in our direction and get a lot of those guys. Some are probably going to commit elsewhere, but we do get Matt Brunner, Darren McPherson, the tight end that I really wanted, Preston Ellis, a corner, Damian Graham, Tyler Smith, safety. And then we've got a ton of other guys ready to visit. There's our first loss of the season. It's at Texas A&M. The pesky Aggies, they always pick up one random win a season that they have no business winning. This is an unsuspecting top 10 matchup. We're number 7 in the country, but Arkansas is number 9. We've added some really fun recruits to the board. We need linebackers badly, so like Stephen Phillips needs to like get his shit together and hurry up and commit. But Brandon Pitts, he's more of a linebacker than a safety with that speed, so he is an interesting one. And we're recruiting some athletes that could potentially be linebackers. Not James Dorsey and Billy Brown, but we recruited some athletes that fit more as a linebacker because, I mean, we badly need linebackers. But we're going to see if we could beat Arkansas. This is a big-time game right here, and we do. We're going to shoot up into, like, the top 4. Now, we have all of our visits scheduled to play against number 2 Georgia. This is a race like I didn't expect to be in, to say the least, but let's see if we can take down Georgia. And we don't. We play them real close, but we're going to lose to Georgia, and that's going to make us fall to a 2-loss. I think all playoff hopes for year 1 are probably lost, but it really just depends on how far we fall. Because our last game of the season is Alabama. So, kind of an interesting set. I didn't anticipate playing Georgia this late in the season and then playing Alabama directly after the bye week. Kind of unfortunate, but we do get Donovan Thompson, the incredible tight end. We get Brandon Pitts. We get Will Dukes. Billy Brown had an okay visit. Eric Bain, potential quarterback of the future, and Jermaine Brown. So recruiting has been pretty solid for us. We've only got 8 more scholarships remaining, and that includes Paul Kane, Stephen Phillips, Mark Yates, some guys that are coming down to the wire, Billy Brown, and then everyone else I'm just not entirely interested in. I feel like we've had a good enough class with a lot of high 78, 79, 80 overall players that I feel good at where we're at. To finish the season out, we did beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl for a 10-2 year 1. That leaves me with a lot of promise for future seasons for this Auburn rebuild. I'm very surprised and just genuinely shocked that we were able to get this much done in the first season. Because I know there's talent on this team. It's not a talentless team. It's an SEC school. Let's be perfectly real with each other. It's a team that has talent on it, and we are actually top 5 in the country as a 2-loss. Checking the top 25 out real quick to see if there's a path, maybe. We're listed at number 6 when it comes to college football playoff odds. It's looking like a 2-loss team could very well end up in the playoff race. Coming in at the end of the season, we finished as the number 5 team in the country. It has us bowling up against, that was Oklahoma, but Oklahoma will actually be in the playoff. I just have to set that all up. So, unfortunate conference standings. Georgia did win the SEC championship, so they will be playing in the playoff. Unfortunate, just unfortunate is truly the word of this. We're going to go over the stats for the season and see how we did. It doesn't seem that Robbie Ashford went off by any means. 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 50% completion percentage. Really not even a good season. Jarquez Hunter, 1,000 yards. Brian Beatty, 700. And then Robbie Ashford with 540 on the ground. A lot of rushing touchdowns. It just wasn't a passing offense for the first year. And I can't even say that I'm mad at it because it shouldn't have been. It's a team that's capable of throwing the ball. Also, defensive numbers were through the roof right here. 6 interceptions. That's just ridiculous by DJ James. So we're gonna finish this thing out. We're gonna do some recruiting, and hopefully we'll be going to the playoffs in year 2. Coming into players leaving, we've got a lot of seniors that are going. And Rivaldo Fairweather decided that he wanted to go to the draft, and I said, absolutely not. You're gonna be an incredible talent. And you're gonna go in the first round next year. That's totally a lie. But yeah, a ton of seniors graduating on this team. It was just a team full of literal seniors. Coach changes. I imagine we're going to be losing out on some coordinators, and that kind of makes me sad. We actually are not losing out on either coordinator. So we're keeping our guys in the building. We're going to go to transfer requests. I doubt there's really going to be any, but let's take a gander anyways. Nope. And then draft results, I doubt we had anybody drafted. Oh, Zion Puckett, he went in the 6th round, so good for him. This is how it's going to look for the final week of recruiting. We're going to go 9,950 on Stephen Phillips, 2,500 on Billy Brown. We don't need Billy Brown, but I'd like to have him. And then Charlie Lamb, a kicker that we don't need, but we're going with the 2,500 on him because he could be a punter, I imagine. I don't know how the position change for that works, but there is a punter here. He's just not very good, so I'm just going to take the risk. I'm going to take the gamble. As it currently sits, I imagine we're one of the top classes in the country. We're actually number 2 right behind Alabama. So hopefully with a few commits right here, we could have the number 1 class in the country. We're going to go ahead and simulate to signing day and see if we do. Big hopes, high hopes that we can have the number 1 class in the country. It's just, an accolade that's kind of cool to have. We get Stephen Phillips. We lost out on the kicker, or the kicker just didn't sign. He didn't sign. So we don't have a punter. Kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, Charlie Lamb did not sign anywhere. Nice. After training results, Brian Beatty is up to a 97 overall, and I believe he's going to be the feature back. It's just weird because I don't feel like he's better than Jarquez Hunter. So I don't know. Interesting thing, but we got a 91 overall defensive tackle, 91 overall kicker, a 90 overall outside linebacker. Offensive line play is looking pretty solid. Peyton Thorne moves up to an 88 overall. I'm still going to roll with Robbie Ashford, though, because he has the higher physical upside. And if you noticed with how the offense performed last year, it was more on the physical upside of the quarterback. We'll say, though, the SEC is getting a lot stronger this year. Texas and Oklahoma, they're in our division. SEC is not going to have divisions in real life, but that is fine because NCAA, you can't do anything about it. So yeah, we're going to be stuck in an SEC West with Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn. We are Auburn. Texas is going to be here too. Yeah, it's just going to be a brutal time. I'm going to be honest. So I'm hoping for big things here in year 2, but the conference is just going to be better than it was in year 1. That's just the simple fact of it. So this is going to be our schedule for year 2. We've got number 22, Florida at the Swamp. It's going to be a rough first game. FBS Generic. App State, I threw them on there myself because why not? Oklahoma, Memphis. I think Memphis is a fun one to go up against because they're not a total cupcake, but they are not the hardest team in the world. We've got Ole Miss, Texas, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Georgia, LSU, and then Alabama. So needless to say, it's not the easiest schedule in the world. Coming in week 5, we have the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. It's a top 10 SEC matchup. We're going to be going up against Oklahoma for this week. We actually have a defensive coordinator point to spend, so we're going to spend that real quick. And we have a ton, and I mean a ton of recruits visiting. In approximate total, 6. We have 6 visiting against Oklahoma, and we're actually going to lose by a touchdown. That hurts, but we're not out of it yet. We're not out of it by any means because it is a 12-team playoff. Oklahoma's just a really good team in this game. Simulation-wise, they're always towards that top end. And then we get a little bit of essentially a bye week here coming up against Memphis. I'm just hoping a lot of these guys that we were going after have decided to commit after the Oklahoma week, and a lot have. Tony Burns, number 1 running back in the nation. Mike Moses, one of the best athletes in the nation. Tom Williams, defensive tackle. Claude Barr, Joseph Gay. We needed these guys because we needed offensive line. We need defensive line help as well. And we only dropped to number 8 with that loss, so not the end of the world by any means. Tim Patterson, we're strongly in the lead on. 5-star athlete. He's got the potential to play quarterback, too. Brian Ostrander, we're kind of trying to dig ourselves back into that, but it's a losing battle. It's always the Aggies. The Aggies get us again to make us fall to 6-2, pretty much killing our hopes for a conference championship here in year 2 with 2 losses in this side of the conference. We do, however, pick up a win against Georgia, leaving Alabama as the last team that could really ruin this season. But instead, we lose to an unranked LSU, likely ending our playoff hopes right then and there with 3 losses. We're going into the Iron Bowl at this point with one of the best recruiting classes in the nation, so the future is going to be incredibly bright, but this may have just not been our year. We're going to have to win the Iron Bowl and see how this thing shakes out, but losing to an unranked, 4-loss LSU, that can really crush you. That can really, really crush a season. We've got a ton of guys that are finalists for just a ton of awards. We dropped down to number 17 in the country. We're going to check out some stats real quick. Peyton Thorne was actually starting this season. I didn't anticipate for him to start. I didn't really want him to either. I literally said it in the depth chart, so I guess okay. All right, I guess. Um, but we've got some finalists for awards and such. It's just all relying on this Alabama game. We're gonna spin this OC point real quick, and we're gonna see what happens here. If we do potentially make the playoffs, I will play those games. I only do offense only because whatnot. But we are gonna beat Alabama 34-17, bringing our win total up to 9. 9-3 is not a bad year too, but doesn't look as good when you started out 11-2. Coming over to the conference standings though, I don't think we're going to be able to play in the conference championship. I'm going to check that as soon as this simulation is done. We should have a lot of potential commits here, and Corey Dodds, Jason Rooney both have committed, which is awesome. We are the number 12 team in the country. We very well could be slipping into a 12-team playoff, but we're going to be finishing third in the conference. A&M and Oklahoma are going to come in right ahead of us. So I have set up the playoff, and we are in at the number 10 spot. A little bit of a weaker year for college football. You've got a bunch of 2 and 3 loss schools in the playoff. That's going to pit us up against Oklahoma for round 1. It's not often you get to avenge a regular season loss. That's exactly what we're going to get to do. Stacking up pretty well against Oklahoma. They're a 93 to our 91. Pretty fair matchup, to be honest. So we're going to come out here and we're going to see if we can get a W. Stacking up statistically, we average 31.5 points a game. They average about 34. Defenses are very similar. Their defense is a little bit better than ours, but I mean, they're just overall a better team than us. First drive of the game for us is going to have us pinned way back in our own territory. Trying to avoid a safety here. We're just going to hand it off and keep it simple. I put Robbie Ashford in if I'm going to be playing these offense only because, let's be honest, Robbie Ashford fits a more fun play style than Peyton Thorne does. Peyton Thorne's fine, but if you've got a quarterback who's literally the exact same overall with 87 speed, I'm going to go with the guy who's got the speed. Also, to erase any worries of anybody thinking that me coming into these games is going to make it any easier, it's actually probably going to make it a little bit harder. We play on Seagators sliders, which is a full gameplay patch, and it makes this game a little bit more difficult. You can't cheese 4 verts, you can't cheese read option. You can still run them, but you can't cheese them like you can in the base version of the video game. We're hit with a huge third down early in this ball game. Just got to be able to pick up the first. We're going to go over the middle, and it's going to be a deflection. This Oklahoma defense is pretty tough. Coming in at the end of the game, Oklahoma literally just embarrassed us on the field. We were not ready for postseason play in any way, shape, or form. I did a lot of simulating in this game because I just wanted it to be more about the team opposed to me skill-wise. Because I got stopped, and then I was just like, all right, we're going to simulate a little bit. Robbie Ashford threw like 2 interceptions. They fumbled the ball. It was just a brutal showing for Auburn out here. 17 for 40 with a pick. And then there was a fumble. I don't know who fumbled it. I guess we'll never know. After a lengthy postseason, your national champions are going to be Utah. Utah over Penn State 34-24. Coming in after the season to players leaving, Donovan Thompson, the tight end we recruited to play actually receiver, he is going to be transferring. He's going to North Carolina. Jason Jones, Jarquez Hunter, Cam Riley, Rivaldo Fairweather are all graduating. Peyton Thorne is also graduating. We had a ton of seniors on this team. Coach changes. Hopefully we kept our coordinators together, but I have my doubts. We did, actually. So our coordinators stay the exact same, and that's awesome. Awesome. Transfer requests, I have my doubts that we have anybody in here. We do actually at Anthony Grant. No, I hate to tell you, buddy. I hate to tell you, you're not built for it. Jarquez Hunter goes in the 3rd round. Jason Jones goes in the 2nd. Cam Riley in the 3rd, and then 2 7th-round picks in Justin Rogers and Fairweather. So now it's getting to be a little bit more of my guys that are coming in. We're just going to spin these on that. And we have probably the best recruiting class I've ever had in NCAA, because I always recruit with schools that are not Auburn, not Texas, not Alabama, not Georgia. I always recruit with James Madison or Army or something random like that. So it's going to leave us with a recruiting class where there's only really one player I want, and that's going to be Derek Greer. But we've got 79, 79, 80, 80, 80, 70, 73, 78, quarterback of the future right here in Josh West. Looks incredible. He's a true pocket passer, but look at how many high 70s we have. And we have the #1 class in the nation with 7 5-star recruits. Now, we're probably going to end up, to be honest, it's going to be sad. We're probably going to lose some of those guys because we're going to be doing red shirts. And 5-star recruits in this game really hate being redshirted. So it'll be unfortunate. But Derek Greer does sign #1 class in the nation. Just an absurd class. We're going to go to position changes, training results, all that kind of fun stuff. And, all right, this is going to be our schedule for year 3. This is probably the worst team we're going to have in the entire video because we've had to recruit so much because there's so many upperclassmen on the actual Auburn roster. So we're going to have a lot of freshmen playing on the defensive side of the ball, especially when it comes to linebacker, defensive line, offensive line. This is the issues when you take over a team that did a lot of transfer portal work in this past year, like Auburn did, is we're going to have a team that's filled a little bit more with freshmen, which isn't a bad thing because we have some of the best freshmen in the entire country on our team, which we are going to be redshirting both of these quarterbacks, Josh West and Corey Dodds. We're going to be redshirting all 3 of these running backs, and then we are going to redshirt these 2 receivers. I'm not going to touch these 2 because I actually want them to get good play time this season. Tight end, we're not going to touch anybody, but this is what I'm talking about with the offensive line. We've got a rough group kind of thrown together. Defensive line looks fine. We're actually going to redshirt Jason Rooney. And this is where it gets rough. We have all freshmen at defensive tackle, which they're not bad players. It's just the circumstance we've been put in. This was actually a 5-star player in Chris King. He's just a slower guy, so I want him to play linebacker. Free safety Lee Graham, we're going to redshirt him. And then Tim Patterson, he was also a 5-star, if I am not mistaken. We also need a punter this year, but this year is going to be a heavy offensive line recruiting class, offensive line, defensive line. We need better players at those 2 spots. So I had some recruits visiting for FCS West. We won 80-21. That's the most disrespectful score I've ever seen. We had a major win over Texas at Texas, 50-38. Seems like this offense puts up a lot of points. And I also just acknowledged I forgot to show the stats for year 2, I think. I think I did. So I'm going to make sure to show the stats this year, especially when we're putting up 50 and 80 points in a game. Kind of interesting. And recruiting, I'm going to show that real quick because we've got a big visit week ahead of A&M. I went more niche recruiting over getting the best class. So this isn't going to be the #1 class in the nation by any means. We're going after Bo Watkins, Darren Whitlock, Brian Hawkins, Andre Grant. Is he really that good? I don't know. But it's niche recruiting because it's guys we need. Cam Robinson, Jerome Mays, Justin Morris, Doug Lewis. We've got a few corners in here, some athletes. It's just more for that offensive line, defensive line. That's what we need. So that's what we're going to go after. We still can't beat Texas A&M, though, 35-23. We also, towards the end of the season, win the Iron Bowl to go 8-4. It's just been a slight drop down every single season since we went 11-2. But we're not a bad team. It's just this was going to be the rebuilding year. And honestly, I'm glad it was because we were able to do, like I was saying, niche recruiting. And we've got some guys on campus this week for a visit in the bye week. We get up to the number 18 team in the country. We didn't finish incredibly, of course, when you come down to conference standings. It's going to be Oklahoma in the conference championship against Georgia, of course. Why would it be anybody else? Georgia just continues their historic run. And Robbie Ashford on the season, 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not the worst. 1,000 yards rushing for Jeremiah Cobb and 740 with 9 touchdowns for Robbie Ashford. Backup running back Damari Alston, who probably actually no, he's not going to be the starter next year because we've got a legend here. Caleb Burton, almost 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. Micah Riley, the tight end, picks up 7 touchdowns and about 670 yards. And on the offensive line, we had a lot of freshmen out there. They're going to develop and they're going to get better, and our offensive line is going to be better for the future. But this year was the weak year. Tackles for loss, 14 for Powell Gordon. He also led the team in sacks. Interceptions, JD Rim had 3 interceptions. Excuse me, I apologize. Kayan Lee had 2 at an 88 overall as a sophomore. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Coming into players leaving, Robbie Ashford is going off the draft. Isaiah Miller and Keontae Scott, as well as JD Rim and Champ Anthony. So we're taking a hit in the cornerback room, but we're really not losing a ton. When it comes down to coach changes, though, as something tells me we might be losing a coordinator. And we are not. We actually bring Philip Montgomery back. So we're going to have max level coordinators next season, which is awesome. Transfer requests, don't really anticipate anything here. There is nothing there, but we'll check out the draft results. Robbie Ashford, 3rd-round pick. Isaiah Miller, 4th. And then Keontae Scott is a 6th-round pick. I don't think any variation really comes with that. They just kind of go where they're supposed to. We're going to spend this little point here for Hugh Freeze. Almost a max-level head coach, which is not bad. You know, you like those kinds of things. We're going to go into recruiting, and I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing for this final bit of recruiting ahead of signing day. It's weird. Recruiting has changed so much since this game came out originally. We are the 2nd class in the country. Ohio State is the number 1 right now. But we're just going to split these points down the middle. We've got 80 overall running back Cody Parker. Is he really going to be the guy? I don't know. We've recruited a lot of running backs. Just he was sitting there in the low lock. Yeah, I know. I'm using the low lock cheese. But he was just sitting there. Why am I going to pass up the opportunity to have an 80 overall running back in the building? Number 2 running back in the country, you know, just because it's cheesing the game. Same with this athlete. He was actually only like a 74 overall, but he became a gem when we scouted him. So he is up to an 80. So we're going to split our points between those guys, but we got a punter finally. And then we got a lot of offensive linemen. Jason Tate, Brian Harvey, Jason Thompson, Troy Carter, Joe Jackson. So we got a few guys, and we got some defensive tackles. Some of these athletes are going to be linebackers. So we're at least filling some of our needs with recruiting this year. We're going to go and simulate, see if we get these 2 guys. Hopefully we do. I don't think that'll vault us up to the number 1 class by any means, but it'll be a full 25 in the recruiting class. And that's about all we really need to do for recruiting. It's just going to be down to development. Cody Parker and Nicholas Barber both sign. Let's see if that vaulted us up to number 1. I don't think it did because it didn't give us a little pop-up there. We went down to number 4. Georgia and A&M both coming in ahead of us. So this is going to be our schedule for our 4th season, I believe this is. We're starting off versus Tennessee. We've got FCS, Arkansas State, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Texas, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Georgia, Rice, LSU, and then always finishing out with the Iron Bowl. Now we're going to redshirt some guys on this team. We have one of our better teams that we will have the entire video, and we're going to be going with Holden Geriner, hope I said that correctly, as the starting quarterback for this season. Next season, we're going to move into Corey Dodds because we need that mobility. Running backs, we are going to obviously be starting, let's find him real quick, Jeremiah Cobb at a 98 overall, which is it's just ridiculous. We're going to redshirt 2 of these receivers so we can keep them for a little bit longer. We're going to leave the tight end undone, but overall, this roster looks much better, except for 1 spot on the offensive line. Well, 2 spots on the offensive line. I didn't know our right tackle was that low. And then we're going to redshirt Matthew Brown as well. But overall, this is going to be a really, really, really good team. I don't think I can emphasize really enough because of this team. It's pretty well built. A lot of players over that 90 overall. We have officially hit 99 overall, and that's at the perfect time going up against Oklahoma. Maybe we can finally get a win over them. We can't, of course. Why would we? Why would we be able to beat Oklahoma? Now we're playing these Texas schools back-to-back. We lost to Texas, but we get A&M at home, and that's really my only hope for making this a playoff season because we have our best team realistically at a 99 overall. We're going to have really, really good talent all the way across the board for next year, but losing to Texas right there really does hurt. And it's actually at A&M. That's a brutal road stretch to play both of the Texas schools. Yikes. We still cannot beat the Aggies. 48-29. We're going to take the L. 3 losses this early in the season. It's pretty much chalk. We did bounce back by beating the Razorbacks, though, 45-42. Going on a little streak here. We're going to pick up a victory over number 16 Georgia, where we put up 55 points in the game. Kind of an absurd day, to be honest. Just honestly very, very surprised by that. And then we're playing number 6 Rice. Oh, Rice might be a record booster or rankings booster. Oh, oh, that's the good stuff right there. They're top 4 in the country. Okay, well, we're going to schedule some visits, and we're going to go up against number 4 in the country, Rice. Oh, man. That is something. Number 4 in the country, Rice. And we lose. That is pain. What overall is Rice? It slowly just trickled all the way down until we were a 7-win team. It's weird how that kind of happened. It went 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, right? Or did we not? We didn't have a 10-win season, I don't think. I don't know. I'm going insane. Stats for the season to see how we did. Holden Geriner, 4,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He definitely wasn't the problem. I don't know what the problem was, however, though. The rushing production wasn't great. We might want to go closer to a 50-50 split. Might be our best option, but receiving numbers were absolutely incredible. We had a great receiving corps, so you would expect that. 20 sacks total in between our guards. Not great. Tackles for loss. We got after it a little bit when it came to the defensive side of the ball. 5 interceptions from Austin Osbury. Solid season right there. It just 7-5, man. You can't really do much with that. That's a bad season for us. Coming in, 2 players leaving. Sylvester Smith wants to go to the draft. We're going to guarantee him a national title. He is staying. Robert Woodyard is out. Caleb Burton, Camden Brown, and Alex McPherson, the kicker, are all out. Quarterback Holden Geriner is also out. We had a lot of guys graduate as well, which is brutal. You hate to see it. I'm going to check the coaches. I don't think we're going to have anybody leave. And we did not. We extended Ron Roberts, which is awesome. We're going to check out these transfer requests. I don't think we're really going to have anything. We do not. Draft results, again, I don't think these really differ, but 3rd round, 6th, and 7th all seems pretty good there. And then we're going to simulate 2 recruiting. So the situation with recruiting is we have an 80 overall guard that we want. And I don't really care about anybody else. So we're just going to stick every single point we have on the 80 overall guard. We're going to hope that it's enough to be able to get Kyle Gonzalez, because he would be helpful. But we're just going to stick everything we have on Marcus Patterson. He's an 80 overall guard. Offensive line is our weakest spot. Currently, when it comes to classes, we're number 3 in the country. We're going to drop down a ton after this week. I can tell you that for free. We're going to drop down a ton after this week because we didn't just come out here and get one of the best classes in the country. We got good players. We just didn't need a lot of players because we had to cut a lot of players from last year's class. We get Kyle Gonzalez and we get Marcus Patterson. So that is beautiful. It is amazing. That is going to allow us to finish at number 5. Alabama and Texas come ahead of us in the SEC, both in the SEC West too. So that's brutal. I'm going to change some positions and whatnot, and I'll catch you guys at the start of next season. With training results, we have one of our most stacked units that we could have had. Jeremiah Cobb, 99. Keldrick Falk, a 97. Kayan Lee is up to a 96 overall. Preston Ellis, as a junior, is up to a 95. Same with Darren McPherson, also a junior, up to a 94. Almost 275 or 270 pounds as a tight end is huge. Matt Brunner, the middle linebacker, up to a 92. A lot of players above 90 overall. And our quarterback for the season, Corey Dodds, is up to 88. Josh West is the better passer of the two, but when it comes down to the athletic upside, I'm just forced to go with Corey Dodds. because our quarterback does run a lot in the Oklahoma offense. And this is going to be our schedule for what should potentially be the final season. We're going up against FCS, Mississippi State, Troy, Oklahoma, Arkansas State, Ole Miss, Texas, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Georgia, LSU, and then always finishing out with the Iron Bowl. We are also a 99 overall again this year, so I'm expecting a blowout here against the FCS school. That's exactly what we're going to get. I hope we can survive this SEC West, and the choke job has already begun. 0-2 Mississippi State upsets us 41-38. Coming into week 5, we have nothing but opportunity. It's going to be up against the 91 overall Oklahoma Sooners. It's going to be at their house. Please let us win, and we do. They were a top 10 team, 38-10. That is monstrous. The week after our quarterback won Player of the Week. So it seems things are finally clicking. A guy that I actually recruited is playing quarterback, and, the tides are turning, other than losing to Mississippi State. That kind of hurt. Coming in at 6-1 in week 9, we have nothing but opportunity in front of us. We need to establish our home field dominance and beat Texas A&M, and we just can't do it. We cannot. We literally cannot beat Texas A&M.
We cannot beat these. We cannot beat this motherfucking team for shit.
We also apparently cannot beat Arkansas as we lose 35-37. You think you have a good team, and then this game really humbles you. We pick up another Iron Bowl win. That is going to wrap the season at 8-4 after we beat LSU the week prior. We're finishing strong. It's just we're starting out super weak, blowing games that we shouldn't be blowing. Now we are going to check out some stats at the end of the season. 3,333 yards for Corey Dodds, 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. It's his first year starting, so you got to cut him a little bit of slack. He led the team in rushing as well, which I did not anticipate from the quarterback spot, but it's a welcome sight to see, I'd say. Darren McPherson, the tight end, led the team in receiving. Robert Sledge right behind him, as well as Brian Hunter behind him. Moving over to sacks, 11 sacks given up by our senior right guard, Paul Kane. That's brutal. We recruited him in the first year. Stephen Phillips with 18 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks as well. Interception numbers, Kyan Lee, I don't know how to pronounce it. He got 4. Preston Ellis had 2 as a 95 overall corner. I think we're going to have a really scary looking team coming into next year. And that's all I'm worried about is next year. It's just been next year, the entire video. Come on, Auburn, let's get it together. And now our players leaving for the draft: Kyan Lee, Jeremiah Cobb, Keldrick Falk, Sylvester Smith, and Darren Reed Jr. Actually, Stephen Phillips as well off to the draft. Our left tackle and our right guard are just both graduating. We got Preston Ellis convinced to come back for his final season. Now, for our coordinators, we hired. Wait, no. I was looking at the wrong team. We hired we hired Neil Brown. So that's fun, right? Did they make him an OC or DC? I was about to say, I think they would have made him an OC. Yeah, that's fun. We've got Neil Brown. West Virginia fans love him. For National Signing Day, I only want Lorenzo Brown. He's a corner, and he's a good one at that, with 94 man coverage as a true freshman. When it comes to the overall class, however, we are going to finish at either number 1, somewhere in the top 5. We're going to simulate. We're going to see if we get Lorenzo Brown. Hopefully we do, because corner is probably our weakest position going into next year. I think. I don't know. We didn't have any team needs because I have overall recruited pretty well. We do get Lorenzo Brown. We do get the number 1 class in the nation. That's what I'm talking about. Coming into training results, our tight end is our only 99 overall, but when it comes down to a technical standpoint, we've got we've got a lot of players that are going to be up to that 99 overall mark. This is one of the most freakish teams I think I've ever built, and it's just kind of wild to see some of it. Like Corey Dodds, he's a junior. I mean, these guys aren't even seniors, and they're up to that 96, 97 overall mark. This is going to be a very, very, very scary team this year. We just need to get it done on the field. Stop being, we're really good, but how good are we? 94 speed outside linebacker, by the way. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we just got to get it done on the field. Even our fullback's an 89 overall, man. This is going to be the schedule for what could hopefully be our final season in this video. We've got Texas, Mississippi State, Toledo, Georgia State, Ball State, Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. That is the most brutal ending to a schedule that I think I've literally ever seen. We certainly got our revenge on Mississippi State, 66-42. That is a Big 12 in like 2007 kind of score right there. All right, it is time to shine right here. We're going up against A&M. Please let us. Oh my God, we can't beat them, dude. We literally can't beat A&M.
We cannot beat these. We cannot beat this motherfucking team for shit.
We, however, bounced back against Oklahoma in a huge visit week, which I don't think these visits are really going to matter, to be honest. But 49-20 over Oklahoma, that's big stuff right there. We've got another top 10 matchup against Georgia. They're dead even with us at 99, everything. Hopefully we can pull this one out, and we do in huge fashion. A 13-point victory over Georgia. We blew out number 16 LSU, and that's going to lead us into another top 10 matchup this season. It's actually going to be a top 15 matchup against Alabama. We just got to win the Iron Bowl, and we could be looking good. 44-28, we pick up a win. That's going to put us at an 11-1 season where our quarterback might win Heisman. Due to Texas A&M beating us in the regular season, we're not even participating in the conference championship that would be against Georgia. So we're just casually sitting here as the number 2 team in the nation with literally no game to play. So that's pretty cool. Coming over to the polls, number 1 in the nation is going to be Washington. Penn State at 9-3 is at 4. What is happening here? Ohio State at 9-3. I'm sensing a little bit of Big Ten bias, perhaps. I mean, we're number 2 in the country at 11-1, so who knows? And the winner is, as the achievement on the screen shows, Corey Dobbs wins his Heisman Trophy, and I imagine probably a group of other awards alongside that. We're going to check out his stats on the season, see how we got to that point. 3,600 yards, 49 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. That is a mental season from Corey Dobbs, where he also picked up 620 and 7 touchdowns on the ground. That is ridiculous. Max Pearson, he was the leading rusher for this team. He picked up 5 touchdowns on the ground. Brian Hunter had 16 touchdowns. Robert Sledge had 11. And Darren McPherson, the tight end, had 10. Blocking, it was okay. Tackles for loss, however, a lot of tackles for loss for this team. They were getting after it. The boys were getting after it. Sacks, a ton of sacks for this team as well. Interceptions, a good bit. I'm not going to say it's the most interceptions I've ever seen, but a good bit of interceptions. Now I'm going to set this playoff up, and we're going to try and win us a national championship here with Auburn. I'll be jumping into these games. For our first quarterfinal, we're going to be going up against the Florida State Seminoles. So we have the most ridiculous offense that I could have ever imagined. 50 points per game. Also, our quarterback Dodds has the 2 gloves like Teddy Bridgewater out here. I'm kind of feeling it. He's a little guy too. He's 5'11". This is a true Kyler Murray story that we've got going on here at Auburn. Here in the 4th quarter, this is definitely a dogfight. We're looking to try and take the lead here late in this one. The beauty of the way that this offense is constructed is I can run the read option at just will. And now it's with the Seagator slider, so it's not as powerful as it is in the base game, but having a quarterback with this much speed is just a beautiful thing. 2nd and 5 right here. We're just trying to play it conservative, chew the clock a little bit, get into the end zone, and we're going to take the lead 21-17. Hopefully our defense can hold up in this one. Here it is. It is the drive of the game right here. Just got to keep the football. Don't turn it over, chew the clock, and we'll be moving on to the semifinals. All right, 3rd and 2. We're going to trust our ground game and offensive line that we've built up, and we are going to pick up the 1st down. That's going to be the final timeout that Florida State has. As long as we don't turn it over, this game is ours. All right, and that is going to seal it 21-17 over the Seminoles. In the semifinals, we will be going up against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Not excited about this one at all, to be honest. Penn State is one of the hardest teams to play in NCAA because they run that weird no-huddle offense. All right, it's fourth quarter, 35-24. I haven't actually been playing this game. I've just been super simming it because of how dominant our team was in the Super Sim. Jumping out to a major lead. They've kind of blown the lead a little bit. So we're trying to regain the momentum here on offense so we can shut this game down. And we're going to hit them with a pass here on 2nd and 8. See if we can get somebody on the outside. And we do. We've got a running back, I believe that is. It's going to be Dukes all the way up about at midfield. That's a beautiful, beautiful play right there. And this is going to be the national championship matchup against the UCLA Bruins. Kind of an interesting matchup here. UCLA, a team that might be firing Chip Kelly in real life. Also, I'm starting this game out and realizing this is a home game for UCLA. The Rose Bowl is literally their home stadium. So, a little unfair advantage, to be honest. They literally didn't even have to leave their own campus for their national championship. That is certainly something. Oh, and that's going to be a pick on the first drive of the game. The home field advantage, it's clearly getting to us. I don't have my earbuds in, so that's a lie. That is a brutal start to the game, though. Coming into the fourth quarter here, this is a literal dogfight. 31-31. It's time to go out here and win us a national championship at UCLA's home stadium. Just, again, I cannot emphasize how ridiculous this is, but it's part of the game, you know? I should have chose a different bowl game for it, but I didn't know UCLA was going to make it to the national championship. So you can't really predict these kinds of things in the future, you know? But we're going to try and clock them a little bit. Actually, I lied. We're going over the top. It's going to be Hunter. He's going to catch it, and he's going to take a massive hit. Corey Dodds just floating that thing right in there. Beautiful throw. We're going to run the ball here. If we can run a little bit of clock on this drive, and potentially be able to pick up a win off of just clocking UCLA out, that's my preferred solution, because I'd prefer them to not touch the ball and be able to score again and then send it to overtime. Just anything to keep their offense, which seems to be very good, off the field. And we're going to run with Dodds right here. What a run. That boy is fast. Back on 1st and 10. We're going to go with the play action. We're going to throw it to the outside. That's going to be Ross. He's going to spin. Trey Ross with 20 right there. 2 minutes and 41 seconds left in this one. We're going to start running it, try and run this clock down a little bit further. Here on 1st and 10 in the red zone, we're going to go with a read option right here. Dodds shaking off one defender. It's going to be a 15-yard rush directly down the middle of the field for Corey Dodds. Now back out here on 1st and 10. I don't want to score too fast and give UCLA an opportunity to be able to put up a drive of their own. I more so want to clock this thing out, even if it comes out to us kicking a field goal. Now, I'm not going to skip out on a touchdown if the opportunity presents itself, but we're just trying to chew that clock down and keep UCLA off the field. Let this be the final drive of the game. We're just going to dive in. That's not going to be the final drive of the game, but it's going to be a 38-31 game. All the pressure is going to be on UCLA to put this thing into the end zone. I was a little foolish and I squib kicked it to run down the clock a little bit. And they're getting the ball at about midfield here because of that. So I'm going to play a little bit of defense. Let's see how that is for a change in one of these rebuilds. I typically wouldn't play defense. They actually ran the ball in the first play. Kind of an interesting thing. But I want to ensure that we're going to win this national championship. I'm going to take over with Smith. He's that super fast linebacker safety hybrid that we recruited in like year 3, year 2, something like that. We're going to lay a hit right there and make it 3rd and 6. They used their second timeout, I believe. We're going to come out here on 3rd and 6. We're going to use the safety. Go up over top. They slip that one through. Oh, there's going to be a flag on the play, and I don't know what that's actually going to be. Illegal touching, maybe? It's going to be offensive pass interference. We're going to accept that in a heartbeat and make it 3rd and 16. Here on 3rd and 16, it's time to just play some defense right here. Just get a stop. That's going to be well short of the first down marker right there. Demetrius Walker It's going to be 4th and 9. It's time to make a play right here. 4th and 9, play of the game right here. Just got to stop them. And we don't. They're going to be able to keep this drive alive right here. John Washington picks up the first down. Or take over on that fast linebacker Smith again. They're going to go up the middle. We lay a massive hit. They're going to be able to pick up another first down. UCLA is not letting go. They want to keep driving. They want to get this thing into the end zone. And, I mean, can you blame them? It's for the Natty. We got to get a stop right here. He tried to run it, and that was the bad call. That was the wrong call. Nick Horn gets sacked by Jason Rooney. 3rd and 14 right here. Under 15 seconds remaining in the game. I'm just going to drop back. They can throw it underneath all they want. There's going to be 8 seconds left in the game. I think they're going to try and no-huddle this. They're not. 5 seconds. It's going to be man up 3 deep. Stop a Hail Mary. You know, that scares me because of what happened in the West Virginia series, if any of you guys are watching from that video. We're going to go up over top with Patterson here. See if we can get an interception. It's going to be more. He does have the pick, and that's going to seal it. We are your national champions. Auburn's back. Auburn football, baby. They're back. Corey Dodds wins player of the game with 3 touchdowns. Here's head coach Hugh Freeze hoisting the national championship trophy. What a season, honestly. What a season. What a rebuild. It took a very long time to be able to get this team together, but that's all the fun of these rebuilds. It takes a while. You got to recruit. You deal with shit like Texas A&M where you literally cannot beat them. And then you get to the end of it and you finally get the reward of a national championship. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you consider subscribing, consider liking, commenting down below what rebuild you would like to see next. I'm leaning A&M or LSU or maybe Florida. There's so many to do, and I'm so excited to do so many of these. So just leave it down in the comments below. If your comment gets picked, you can get featured in the next video. Either way, though, hope you enjoyed it, and I'm out.